All right, welcome to episode 201. I'm Aaron Breitman, the Scarlet Faithful podcast. Another Wednesday edition. I missed one on Halloween, so doing a double header on Wednesday. This one's specifically about football. Obviously, November 1st is here, the month of November, a crucial month for Rutgers football. Playing with house money, already bowl eligible with six wins. And now it's a matter of, can they build? Can they continue to win games down the stretch to improve their record, improve their standing, improve their perception, improve their bowl game, and kind of accelerate that step, maybe skip a step in terms of their progress this year? So there's five aspects for me that I think are key in them being able to do this. Obviously, the schedule is daunting to a degree. Ohio State, number one team in the country, coming in this weekend. I wrote about it this earlier on Wednesday. Just the challenge. Ohio State is pretty banged up right now, but it's an opportunity for Rutgers to make a statement, whether they win the game or not. Even if they're competitive, it's going to look kindly on them in terms of perception with the rest of the conference and even nationally. So that's important. But there's five factors in terms of, they're at Iowa, they're at Penn State, and then they have Maryland. We know those Iowa and Maryland games, those are winnable games. They're going to have to play really well, but it's an opportunity. Penn State is going to be difficult, but again, Indiana just went there and had the game tied with 2.5 minutes to go. So anything is possible. And to not think that Rutgers necessarily can't get better in these last four games is also, kind of short-sighted. So first thing, explosive plays. Rutgers offense has to have more explosive plays. News today that Chris Long is out for the season, per Greg Schiano. They've obviously been missing his ability in the wide receiver group. I think overall, honestly, the wide receiver group has done better than I thought. Christian Dremel has been super consistent, but I think that element that they're missing is that deep threat, and that's Jaquay Jackson. For me, I think that can he take that next step? Schiano talked on Monday in his press conference that, he's finally at the point where he feels he wanted him to be at the start of the season, just in terms of development and health-wise. He's been quiet lately. I think it's going to be really interesting to see Saturday. Rutgers has to open up the pass game, and I think Jackson gives them their best chance as a downfield big play threat. I think Ian Strong has that potential as well, but Jackson's a little more seasoned. And he's made some big plays. He's had some good catches this year. He had that 61-yard catch against Temple. But the Rutgers offense needs to have explosive passing plays in the pass game. Obviously, Wimsatt has to be more accurate. Obviously, the offensive line has to get protection. There needs to be good blocking across the entire 11. You have to have good route running by the receivers. They have to reduce their drops. They had a few against Indiana. A lot has to come into it. The play calling, which I'll just jump into, for me is number two, and that ties into explosive plays with offense. Rutgers has to call the games to win. Yes, we know that they can, in running the ball, defense, complementary football, all that, and they were dominant in those areas and playing that way against lesser competition. Now that you're playing, they're going to play elite defenses in Iowa, Ohio State, Penn State, not Maryland. But those three defenses are all really good, and you're going to have to open it up. And yes, the run game is important. The defense is going to the defense is going to be good, but can they be dominant? I mean, you're most likely going to play from behind in some of those games, right? And we saw what happened. My gripe with the offense is in terms of, Wimsatt being inaccurate. Sometimes I feel like they're just so run reliant in the beginning, and it's not until they fall back by two scores that they basically it's pass. And it's a disadvantage for Wimsatt too to just be throwing in passing situations. I'd like to see them open up things a little bit more, maybe a little more play action, throwing more on first down, just being a little more unpredictable. But I think offensively, are they? We've talked about this before with David Anderson, just in terms of when opportunity knocks, right? When there's a turnover, when there's a short field, when there's a change in momentum. Are they going to go for the knockout punch? And I think now more than ever in November, you're playing with house money. You're going to a bowl game, no matter what. To knock off these better teams, you have to go for the knockout punch and you have to deliver them. And that goes down to play calling. So I think that's a big part of it. That's my number two, not in any particular order, by the way. Red zone execution, right? So in terms of Rutgers getting into the red zone and being able to produce 7 points, Obviously, those 20 yards, makes it a lot tougher. Are they going to be able to run it in from there in terms of playing great teams? I mean, no, they're going to have to mix it up. I think one element, too, that I haven't discussed is Wimsatt's ability on the read option. We saw what he did against Indiana. But I think designing more plays for him, whether it's a read option or just design run plays for him where he can use his speed. I think it will, I think it helps him kind of get into rhythm as a whole. And I think it will keep it's something on film that the defense worry about more. Williams has been a little conservative at times before the Indiana game in terms of just kind of handing off, not necessarily making the read. So curious there on that. But just in terms of, he's made some tight throws, right? A couple of touchdowns in tight spaces to Dremel. He had that great touchdown pass to Isaiah Washington. Can he do it? Can Rutgers convert in the red zone against better defenses? That's going to be a huge question mark. Forcing turnovers. That's a big one for the defense, I think. And also just the defense in general, playing these better teams now. Ohio State, they're not as explosive as they've been in the past. But can this Rutgers defense, keep them in the teens? Can they keep them in the low 20s in terms of points? They're going to have any chance of winning the game. So Rutgers has kind of proven up to this point they're a top 5 Big Ten defense. Can they continue to prove that against better teams? And forcing turnovers is really a huge differentiator in terms of the ceiling for this team in these next 4 games, because you can't expect the offense to put together 4 80-yard drives against Ohio State. But if you get a short field, if you get the ball on the Ohio State 30, again, it all rolls together, right? You're able to have that short field because the defense is forcing turnovers. The play calling mentality is go for the knockout punch. The execution has to be there and being able to come through in those moments. So it's all very cohesive in terms of what they're able to. And that's really what winning teams are able to do in terms of taking that next step. Rutgers has done it at times. They haven't done it at other times. They haven't done it against the 2 best teams they've played. So that's the next step for this team. And then an obvious one, none of these are groundbreaking, but I just feel like it all kind of makes sense. But this one, obviously, depth and health. So we know the defense has lost Tyrone Powell. This will be their first game without him. How are they going to react to that? Shiano basically said Mo Touré is going to get the predominant, the majority of those snaps. So he's going to be inside now. It's going to change things in terms of their versatility on defense. Who's going to play that kind of hybrid role? Are they going to play that kind of hybrid role? Is it Kenny Fletcher? Is Wes Bailey moved around a little bit? Aaron Lewis, does he stay outside more than moving around a little bit? It's going to impact how they utilize personnel. And they were kind of toying with a 3-3-5 at times. I think that will go away. And Mo Touré will be the number, the second linebacker with Deion Jennings. So that's going to be interesting to see. Chris Long's obviously out. They haven't had him all year, but they have to stay healthy this last month. Obviously, the bye week is huge. In terms of this team getting healthy, Ohio State's a team that physically just kind of always wears on Rutgers, and they always kind of seem to have some kind of injury issue after this game. So it's going to be really important to get out of this game on Saturday healthy. But their depth is going to be tested this month, as every team's depth will be tested. And they'll have a few weeks before the bowl game to get rested and healthy and all that stuff. But, the grind of November is here, and how they hold up and how their depth has developed. A guy like Eric Rogers, is he going to be able to step in at times, at cornerback and be able to provide something? The defensive line, have they developed enough to be able to rotate guys and keep guys fresh and not rely on, just Keontae Hamilton, just Mayan Hanatu, Isaiah Eaton, how much has he progressed? Renee Conga, is he going to make it back? Jordan Thompson, he's been a little bit of a hybrid guy. Is he going to be able to play a bigger role now, potentially with guys out? So offensive line, we've seen the starting lineup kind of solidify there with Reggie Sutton at right tackle, Holland Pierce at left tackle. You have Dunlap at the right guard spot. You have Felter at the left guard spot. You have Zelinkus at center. Can those guys make it through November? Can they solidify things even further? Can they develop as a group and really take a step forward to be able to hold off top defenses and give this offense a chance? Those are all key questions, and it all ties to depth and health. Because if someone does go down, who's the next man up that can step up? Running back, I really hope that Sam Brown and Aaron Young can have a bigger contribution. That's not a negative towards Kyle Monungai, but he's going to need help in this month of November. It can't just be on his shoulders. And yes, he's on pace for an 1,000-yard rushing season, first one in 10 years since Jawan Jameson, but they need to get more production out of the group as a whole. And I'm hoping Sam Brown and Aaron Young are A, called on more, and B, able to come through. I really like both of them. And if all three can contribute, that's going to make Rutgers' offense that much more dangerous. And that really, to me, is the five things. So explosive plays on the offense, forcing turnovers from the defense, red zone execution, and really on both ends, right? If the Rutgers defense can prevent 7 points and allow 3 points, it's a bend but don't break philosophy, mentality, ability. That's what they need to be able to do against these better teams. Play calling to win, going for it, nothing to lose. You're going to a bowl no matter what. Take some chances in these games against better opponents, and then obviously staying healthy and seeing their depth be able to withstand. So I'm excited. Ohio State, #1 college football playoff rankings coming Saturday. It's an opportunity to make a statement, whether you win or lose. If Rutgers can give Ohio State a real scare, play competitively, they're going to boost their confidence. They're going to improve perception, and it's going to set them up strong for the rest of November. Of course, we want them to win. And maybe they'll have a chance to win, and maybe they will win, and it'll be the win of, I don't know. They never beat #1, right? So I mean, it could be the best win in program history. It certainly would be in terms of a blue blood type scenario. So we'll see, but I think this team has a lot of potential. I'm excited about what they can do in November. Optimistic they can get at least one more win. Who knows? Who knows? It's been a season where a lot of things can happen across the sport, and Rutgers, I think, is well positioned to make some noise in November. Thanks for listening and watching once again here at the Scarlet Faithful.